Well, I'm going to tell the people here shortly. Don't spoil the surprise. Hey, Rambo. What's up, dude? Quarantine life. Every day. What's going on, boys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. You know, this is kind of an impromptu video because I wasn't planning on making one about this, but the issue has become larger than a simple fix. Generally speaking, when I have simple fixes for the cars or small problems, I don't really feel the need to record them just because the videos are really quick, or they would be really quick, and the fixes, if they take 5 minutes, I'm not gonna waste your time with that. But this one's actually interesting. So let me actually show you what the problem is, and we'll get to what I've done so far and what I think the solution may be. All right, so we go in here, start the car. Starts up a little rough, okay? Idle a little rough. Now keep in mind, I've been stopping it and starting it quite a bit. So it is warm. Ooh, it's just idling really rough. But when we come up here, I'm going to give it quick throttle and watch what happens. Okay? But now watch what happens if I slowly roll on the throttle. Everything good. So when I was driving this, basically what happened is I would give it a little throttle, not quick or anything, but it would kind of like lug and hesitate. And I first thought spark plugs. Well, let me give you a bit more backstory on this. When I got this car, I had really old gas. I siphoned like 98% of that gas out, and I put 5 gallons of fresh gas in it. I ran all that fresh gas through it, and then put 5 more gallons of fresh gas in it. But before I put that second round of fresh gas, the car got down to like a quarter tank, maybe a little less. And I thought maybe that old gas was finally making its way through the system and that was the culprit. So then I put the second round of 5 gallons in and it still was doing it. So what I did then was I wanted to see if anything was wrong with the mass airflow. So since I have a spare engine that came with all spare parts, I replaced the mass airflow. That didn't do anything. Then I went and picked up fresh plugs. So I switched out the plugs. Then I went and that didn't do anything. Then I had the coils from the other motor that I put in. So I swapped coils. That didn't do anything. So now what I'm thinking the issue is this TPS, the throttle position sensor. But here's why this is kind of a pain in the butt to fix. Here's the TPS from my old engine, and you can see that it kind of uses studs. So it's going to, I would either have to swap throttle bodies completely, which I don't have a gasket for this one, so I prefer to not do that, or do this TPS sensor swap, which would require kind of drilling a little slit in each one of those and backing out the screws that way and doing the same thing on the original. Then I'll be able to put the new TPS sensor on the old throttle body and see if that's the fix. And hopefully the TPS sensor on the old one is still good. But I'm debating if I want to just do the whole, I don't think I want to do the throttle body entirely. I think I just want to do that. So, let me see, I'm gonna do some research. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start with the removal of the throttle body, which needs to be done to remove the TPS sensor. So first thing first, you gotta take off the air box. Not really hard whatsoever. All right, so that's actually gonna be really easy. I just disconnected I didn't even need to do that one part. I just disconnected the hose, or the intake tube from this little part, and you can slide that off. And from there, I mean, it's a hose right there, the TPS sensor, the map sensor, and the throttle. And then really, it's just the 4 bolts holding it on. So the first thing I'm gonna do is make sure I can get the TPS off the old throttle body off, which requires Dremel, blah, blah, blah. So let's go over there and do that. All right, so I got the old TPS sensor off. Now I got to take this throttle body off so I can remove that TPS sensor and then replace the old TPS sensor with this TPS sensor. No, put that TPS sensor on this throttle body. So, need to take this off. All right, so throttle body taken off. That's pretty good, actually. Now, and be careful because a couple of those hoses you disconnect, actually the only two you have to disconnect from the throttle body, leak antifreeze. Just a heads up, I didn't know that. So now we have the throttle body, and I have to take off, where is it? This guy right there, and replace it with the one that I have. So now, same thing. But unless you plan on reusing the stud things that you had to cut to be able to get off of the throttle body, make sure you have a couple of bolts that you can use. I got really lucky and I found some that work, that fit the thread. But if you don't, I wouldn't recommend reusing the things that the stud nut things that you used or that you cut to get off. So make sure you have that. All right, TPS swapped. You know, I'm not so sure I'm confident in this. I don't know. It really, to me, for some reason, this feels like a fueling issue, but I guess it doesn't make sense because it's receiving fuel. So let's get this new one installed. Just reverse what I just did. All right, so got it all put back together. Put you in there, that's good. You in there, that's good. You in there. Wait, put you right there, that's good. This is good, that's connected. That's connected, throttle cable's connected. All right, so if the TPS sensor was the issue, technically this should be the solution. Got to connect the battery. All right, fingers crossed. Let it do its thing for a second. It feels good. Feels smoother than it did. Okay, everything. I don't think it fixed it. I still feel some like, oh. No. Still. All right, boys, so unfortunate update. So I did the plugs, changed the coils, changed the mass airflow, changed the TPS, and adjusted it as close as I could. That's the pain in the butt to adjust if you've never done one. It's still no bueno. It's not running right. I really think it has something to do with fueling. I think the next thing I have is probably fuel filter. And if I'm in there doing the fuel filter, I might as well do the fuel pump. Since I plan on supercharging this, it's going to need an upgraded fuel pump too. So I think that's next on the list is doing the fueling. And if you know about S2000s and you know about fueling, you know that's a pain in the butt because there's no room back there to get in there. I've never done one. I know where it is and I can see how it would be just an absolute pain in the butt, but looks like I'm gonna learn. So this is gonna have to continue on at a later date because I don't have one and I'm gonna have to order one. So I'll see you in like 4 or 5 days. Ooh, you are. There we go. I'm going to get to working on the fuel. So that means I ordered a fuel pump, and that means I need to get the old fuel pump out, which I know is a big pain in the butt because there's just no room to work. But what that also means is I should probably drain the gas that I have in there, which sucks because I literally just put it in. I put like five or 6 gallons of new gas in there. Maybe not that much, but I still need to drain it. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm going to siphon out the gas that's in there, as much of it as I can, put it back in the tank, because I'll still be able to use it. It's fresh gas, it's brand new, and I have a little squeeze pump that I'll use to siphon it out. But I'm gonna get that drained. Then I think I'm gonna try and access the fuel pump from the soft top, like tonneau cover where it sits, deck lid, I guess. So I'm gonna do that, but first, extract this old gas. All right, so I got all of the gas out of the tank, literally. Now when I turn the key on, it literally shows no bars. So there should be basically nothing left in the tank. That took a little bit of effort, but it's definitely worth it. So now what you're supposed to do is take the fuel pump fuse out, which is underneath the dash, and it's the number 2 fuse. I believe it's a 15 amp fuse. And then what you're gonna wanna do is try and start the car, and it should just crank. And the reason for that is you want to purge all the fuel from the fuel line, so when you disconnect all of them from the fuel pump, it's not spilling all over the place. So I'm going to go through and now just try and start it, or just kind of purge the fuel lines, and then I believe we can get to removing the fuel pump. Also, I forgot to say, after you do this, which I just did it, after you try and start the car and purge the fuel lines, disconnect the battery. I know you're working in the back of the car and you don't need to disconnect the battery, there's no spark, but still just disconnect the battery. You're working with fuel, just disconnect the battery. You know what? I've been wrecking myself trying to get to the soft top deck by sitting here and trying to get, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just cut this. This is gonna be toast anyway, so I'm just gonna cut this and sneak in right behind there. I don't need this top anyway, this is gonna be trash, so time to butcher this thing. I don't know why, this just feels weird, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start right here. Man, that's actually kind of hard. Oh man, this feels so weird. Yeah, buddy. Oh, look at all this access. This is what I'm talking about. Yep, this was the move, boys. And I'll finally be able to see through my window. All right, boys, here we go. So that, I've removed this little plastic piece right here that is back there now. And I'll tell you what, when you don't care about the top, man, it's easy to get to and easy to do. So now, all I have to do is take these 3 screws off, and I believe there will be some connections below that, and I'll be able to remove the fuel filter and fuel pump from there. This is what we got once you take that off. You'll see the main connection right there, and then there's 2 or 3 fuel pump hoses, and those are what we're basically purging. So when we release those, hopefully no fuel will come out, but I'm still going to grab a couple rags to put down there just in case. And then I believe it looks like a bunch of 8mm nuts that need to come out, or 8mm bolts that would then take the housing or the top of the fuel pump off. One thing I did forget to mention is to take the gas cap off of the gas tank because the system is pressurized, so you're going to want to take that off. So I don't know why exactly, but you want to take that off. All right, boys, this is 120% the look at what dude, this thing is just caked. Honestly, I'm surprised it even ran this long. No way. Dude, that is crazy. And now the bigger thing is, look at this fuel tank. That's just like, let's see, just like mud down there. How am I supposed to clean that out? All right, so here's the deal, boys. It's very clear that the fuel filter and fuel pump more than likely are toast. I already ordered both anyway, so it's not a big deal. I edited this part out of my last brake video for the S2000, but as soon as I went to bed in the brakes, I felt the car, something happened with fueling. You could feel it happen. That's why I still wanted to do the simple things, plugs, coils, and that type of stuff are simple because I have a spare motor here. So the coils, I can just swap them back and forth, see if anything's different. Plugs are easy enough to change. I had a feeling it was fueling. Now that I know it's a fuel filter, fuel pump combo, which I have on order, the main thing I'm curious about doing is cleaning out the tank. I know you can drop the tank, but I believe that requires dropping the rear subframe, and Roman over at Boost Logic confirmed that. And I'd rather not do that. So I'm trying to let me know. Well, by the time you guys see this, it'll probably be too late, but I'm gonna do my best to research if there's a way to actually clean it out and then like suck out the cleaning solution, or if there's something I can like, I don't wanna run it through the motor. That's a problem. So I'm already probably gonna have to do like some sort of injector clean or something anyway, because that tank is just filled with mud. It's like, it's pretty ridiculous what's in there. So for now, what I'm gonna do is go inside and research my options on how to actually move forward with this before I stick in the new fuel pump, new fuel filter that I'm gonna be getting tomorrow, because I'm not putting it in there when the tank's that dirty. So I'm gonna go do some research, and it'll be like that to you guys, but probably pick this up tomorrow and hopefully have some parts ordered for actually cleaning this tank, because it needs it. Can't show you this. Oh man, beautiful day. Can anyone tell me what day it is? I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember when we started this. I don't remember what day we're on of this adventure that we're going on. But it is day whatever on the gas tank, or on the S2000 issue. And as I updated you yesterday, pretty definitive problem is the fuel tank and the fuel filter and probably the fuel pump. So what I did is ended up just doing like carb cleaner and a bunch of rags and just cleaning as much of the gunk out as I could. And I think I did a pretty good job. I think it'll be sufficient. I also picked up this fuel system cleaner. You know, I probably won't run the whole thing through that, but I figured it was probably good to run something through it, just because I don't know how much of that crap actually went through the system. So I'm gonna run that through it. Here's a look at the tank though. See if you can see this. So you can kind of get a good idea. I mean, yeah, there's that line of where stuff was, but I mean, that's not coming off, and that's not sediment. I picked up a lot of sediment with a lot of rags that I ended up throwing away. And for the most part, this is pretty clean now. The only other thing I could do is drop the tank, which requires dropping the rear subframe. And I really don't want to get into that, not right now. So I'm gonna try this out. I ran some gas through it, shook the car around, then siphoned it back out, and I was seeing if that shook up any sediment. I didn't see anything, and the gas came out clean. So I think we're good. So now my thing is, I got my full-blown fuel pump. So I went with a fuel pump from Full Blown, and I went with their larger one that is rated for force induction. So it is the Full Blown 340-2. And the reason I went with this one instead of a Walboro is because this is supposed to be a little quieter. The Walboro apparently is really loud. I'd like to avoid that if possible. So I went with this one, read good things about it, looks good, everything's good. And then their short fuel filter. So, and that's all there is. So I'm gonna take the other fuel pump and filter apart and get to work on putting this one in there, and then start putting gas in there and hopefully wrap up this job and hopefully make the car run amazing again. Anyway, let's get to work. All right, so got the new pump housing and filter installed, or got the new pump and filter installed in the housing. So now I'm just gonna drop it in the tank and be good to go. Well, after I button up and put everything back to normal, then be good to go. All right, boys, so just got done filling the car with gas and putting in this fuel cleaner. I bought this from the place I bought the big gas tank. I just wanted to run some kind of cleaner through the system. So now I'm gonna put the fuse back into, the fuel pump fuse back into the car. Probably cycle it a few times, maybe prime it. I don't know if that's a good thing to do or not, but I'll do that anyway. And then try and start the car, and hopefully, fingers crossed, she runs normal. All right, boys, so got the fuel pump in, got the battery connected. I'm gonna turn the key on to get the fuel pump primed, maybe a couple times. That's it. All right, here's a big moment. Let's see. Okay. Don't smell any fuel. That's good. Let's go look back here. Okay, so that's all good. Now, the big thing is on throttle, if it hesitates like it did before. So I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit and then we'll give it a test. All right, let's see how she does. Oh yeah, we fixed her. So that's what it was. I mean, we kind of knew it was that anyway. Whenever your fuel pump is literally that bad, that is going to be what it is. Oh man. So now I have an upgraded fuel pump and I'm running that cleaner through it. So I'll probably go for a little bit of a drive today and maybe cycle this gas through it because I put that cleaner in and I'd like to just, like I said, I'd like to get that through the system. Nice. And she's got new plugs. So that was a weird one, boys. I'm glad I actually ended up filming because at first when I thought it was just the plugs, I wasn't gonna film this because that's a super short and boring video. But fuel pump, that grimy, that dirty, that'll do it to this. So that's gonna do it for this one, boys. But before I go, I gotta show you guys something. I did something. If you notice, that's not my E36. We picked up another project car. What am I thinking? Now I don't know if I'm selling the E36, keeping the E36, supercharging this, what I'm doing to that. There's a lot going on. This is crazy. This is a crazy route. But if you're new to the channel, guys, smash that subscribe. We got a lot going on with the S2, with the E36, and then with the other car that you don't know about yet. So smash that subscribe, guys. I hope to see you on the next video. Peace.